Yes.
Take the one from.
Okay, well, you weren't there.
I know.
So we are on page 41. We're at number 14, question number 14. Why is the more time, more chance argument? So just give it more time, give it more chance. Argument not a good one for Darwinists to use in support of your. Yes.
Chance isn't cause.
Neither time nor chance is a cause, right? I don't know if you remember the very first video I showed you of Katie, and she talked about cookies. And if you put them on the counter and gave them more time, would that cause them to be baked? No, time isn't what caused them to be baked. Chance isn't what caused them to be baked. The oven is what caused them to be baked, right? So more time, more chance. They are not causes. What are you going to say, Sam? That's okay.
Wait, it was I think a week or two ago, definitely not last week, but in class I was talking about how chance and like the multiversal theory isn't really a thing because we would know exactly what would happen if we knew all the different variables in the universe and everything. That's kind of what he was talking about with chance too. Like chance is just what we use for we don't know the variables here, so we don't know what's going to happen. We know it's probably.
Oh, that's exactly right. Yep, and I remember you talking about that as well.
I know it's like
Oh, well, that's okay. Again, we haven't been. So anything else? I think the book uses the image of flipping a coin. It isn't that, technically the chances are somewhere around 50-50, right? But it isn't the chance that flips the coin. It's the person that, whatever, that causes that. Anybody else put anything else on there? Yes.
It's like natural laws. So you have like a billion years, nothing natural.
Yeah. Natural laws are laws, right? They don't change. Good point. Yes.
I was just like, maybe they can make it argument, but chance doesn't explain their argument. It just says
Right, but time also is not a cause. Things happen over time, right? But time itself doesn't cause anything. Yes.
Time is just kind of like part of the recipe. So like I was thinking technically, if you gave the cookies an infinite amount of time, let's say for some unexplained reason, like the sun just becomes way hotter, then the cookies would bake over time, right? Obviously, they would do much more than bake. But like it wouldn't be the time's fault. It would just be the sun. So it would never be the final cause. It would never be the only cause. It's just kind of part of the equation of how it happens.
Right. It happens over time, but the time isn't. So yeah. And then, what do we know about nature based on the second law of thermodynamics? Okay, they use energy. But what happens? Yes. Right. The only thing that ever happens over time is disorder. We talked about Romans 8 in the last chapter. Nature disorders; it does not order. That is the second law of thermodynamics. So it actually makes the second law of thermodynamics actually makes things coming into order on their own less likely. And probably impossible. Because to have something happening over time is contrary to everything that science tells us about nature, that it disorders, it doesn't work. And then the chance that life could come from non-living chemicals, virtually zero, as calculated by atheist scientists as well as Christian scientists, not the religion, but the actual scientists. Even an atheist will admit, yes, the chance of life coming from non-life is basically zero. But they want to believe that so much that they're like, but there's a chance. But the chance is virtually zero. So it's a lost cause. Not getting else. Okay, question 15. In the debate between Drs. Craig and Atkins, what were some things Dr. Craig argued that cannot be scientifically proven? And these are all things that we believe in. Yes.
Math and logic.
Math and logic. Are they true? Can they be scientific? Yes, they're true, right? Math and logic. Much to my chagrin, math. You didn't hear me say that. But they cannot be proved scientifically. What else? Yes. What? Oh, science itself. Yeah. Yeah, the scientific method cannot be proven scientifically. Is it true? Yes, but it cannot be proven scientifically. What else? Yes, Adam. Ethical judgments, and this is where we're headed in this book in the next chapter. Why do we know some things are right, and why do we know some things are wrong? Nobody would, almost nobody, maybe a psychopath, almost nobody would say
Yes.
murdering an innocent human being is wrong. And that can't be proven by science. But everybody knows it to be true. Even those who deny it know it to be true. What else can't be scientifically proven? You're welcome to.
No,
With-
I'll share it for you.
No. I would like for him to share something that he can share too.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Aesthetic judgments. What is beautiful and what is not. And yet we believe there are beautiful things, and we believe that there are in ethics, and we believe in math and logic and metaphysical truths and science. But none of it can be proved through the scientific method. So it isn't just the scientific method that determines what is true. Other things can determine. Now I saw a hand. No? Okay. Listen and explain the 3 points that demonstrate that science is built on philosophy. That was a very small space for you to write things down. So what is the first one? Yes.
Science can't be done without philosophy.
Yep. If there's no philosophy, there is no science. Science cannot be done without philosophy because science is based on, it is predicated on philosophy. So in that case, it can't be the result of science because philosophy is what underpins science. So science didn't create philosophy, philosophy created science. And then what's the second one? Yes. Yes.
Philosophical assumptions can dramatically impact. I ran out of room.
I know. I did too. And I have bad handwriting. It's really bad when you can't read your own handwriting. So philosophical assumptions can greatly impact conclusions. If your assumptions are wrong, your conclusions will be wrong. I used to talk about this in my ninth grade U.S. and the World class at Eller North, and I showed them a number of pictures that they assumed were something, and they were actually something else. And I tried to look for this picture for my senior worldview class, and I haven't been able to find it. But it's this park bench and this man with his arm around his girlfriend. And then they show it, and everybody, I'm like, what do you see? A man sitting on a park bench with his girlfriend. And you see the front side of it, and it's actually his Afghan hound dog. His girlfriend's actually a dog. No, sorry, that was bad. It's going on YouTube. Our assumptions can dramatically impact our conclusions. And then what's the third one? Yes.
The science needs scientists, right? Like they need science. Science is just like the data, but then scientists are the ones that actually put it together in a way that we understand.
Right. Science doesn't say anything. Scientists do, right? It isn't science telling us these things. It is the scientists. And data, data apparently is plural, so data are interpreted. Assumptions can get in the way of that interpretation. Sometimes we see what we want to see, and that's true of all of us. But it is particularly unfortunate when it's a scientist trying to discover. Okay, number 17. List 5 reasons why materialism is not reasonable. So someone give me one. John.
Because materialism is like basically it's like thinking about consciousness and science is like
Yep, there's no way for scientists to account for that consciousness, right? Yes, Ayla.
If left for nothing more than materials, we would all be able to take materials.
Yeah. Yeah, if that is all there is. Yes. Sure.
They haven't discovered the exact physical consciousnesses because of the ethical requirements to do those tests on the brain. But what information they do have is that basically they used to cut the corpus callosum to treat severe epilepsy, and the side of the brain that has more control over speech function, that side of the brain would do things that the person was unconscious of. So they would experience things like if you were holding a book, your left hand would suddenly just leave. So they theorize it has something to do with speech function, your ability to communicate yourself.
Yeah, they sometimes, and I teach on that when I teach psychology for what happened to those people. But there's this spot of the brain that when they call it the God spot, actually, that when people are worshiping or engaging in religious sort of activities, that part of the brain lights up. So yeah, there may be something there, but we haven't discussed. Yeah.
It's actually cool because the right side of your brain controls your left hand and everything, and the left side controls speech and your right hand. I think stuff. And so like, when you sever that, they struggle to like communicate between each other, and so you like pick up the thing that you want to wear today, and then the other hand will be like, no.
Yes. But on the other hand, they most of them became quite docile and easy to control, and that's what their families were wanting. Unfortunately. Yes, yes. The left side of your brain, or the left side of your brain, excuse me, I gotta do this back, controls the right side of your body. The right side of your brain controls the left side of your body, which means, of course, that left-handed people are the only people in their right minds. Yes.
Alright, Allison.
Yes. What?
Allison?
Allison?
Uh,
Okay. Okay. Well, whatever you do, so here are the ones that I listed for question 17, assuming I can read my own handwriting. The message in life, specified complexity, or DNA, cannot be explained by natural laws. Number 2, chemical processes alone cannot explain human thoughts and theories. They cannot scientifically, be scientifically engaged or proven. Number 3, if all things were made of material only, we'd be able to make life, but we can't. If materialism is correct, not one single spiritual experience ever is valid. If even one is true, then materialism is false. If materialism is true, reason is impossible. If everything is chemicals, there's no reason to believe anything is true. And reason requires faith. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So we're not going to look at the number 1, but let's look at number 2. Review the atheist versus the critical thinking consultant. Did you like that story? That was really, really cool. How did Pete Bacino, Pete Bacino able to logically and objectively argue for theism while refuting Darwinian?
Well, they had to lay out like an issue for what it meant to be a person. So they laid out like 5 things, and then when someone tried to disagree with it, it was like, well, if you try to disagree with this, you're proving it right.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your ability to correct free will and like that. I don't remember the.
Yeah. So he was able to show how in attempting to logically deny our personhood, our uniqueness, our design, all of that, the materialists are displaying the very characteristics they deny. Well, that's not true. Well, you're actually telling us it's true in what you're doing. And then the last one says this, a great question to ask a person who holds evolution is, how did life arise from non-living chemicals without intelligent intervention when non-living chemicals are susceptible to the second law of thermodynamics? They decay, just like everything else. You want to see the type of reasoning and scientific explanations they use in support of materialism. Keep the conversation going by asking simple questions such as, what do you mean by, and this is a question I'll teach you next year when you're talking to atheists. What do you mean by nothingness? Maybe they say, when you die, there's nothingness. What do you mean by nothingness? In this case, what do you mean by evolution? Or what do you mean by whatever it is they're talking about? And oftentimes you'll find they don't really know what they mean by that. They've just been taught it. And so they believe it. So can you give me an example where this has happened? Do you have any evidence to support your claims? Have you ever studied both sides of the argument? And if so, are you open to discuss it? Here's the thing. I want my students to learn how to be in those kinds of conversations. We talk about it here. We'll talk about it a lot next year. I want you being in conversations with atheists, with people of other faiths, and talking about the things of God, not just spiritually, but in terms of reality. But here's the thing. We're told in Scripture that we are to conduct those conversations with gentleness and respect. And so here's the first time I'm going to tell you something many more times. If you are in a spiritual conversation or a scientific conversation about evolution and creation and all that, and it becomes an argument, first, apologize. And second, get out of the conversation. Because if it can't be conducted in a gentle, respectful way, you are doing more harm. And so it's an art to be able to stay in those conversations and validate what you can in the other person and what they're saying without becoming combative. And once it becomes combative, they don't want to hear about your Jesus because they're angry at you. Yeah, always do so. Have those conversations. Any questions on any of this? Okay. I'm going to turn off the video and see what else we need to do today.